All right, 6:03, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Present are BJ, Diane, Lynda, myself, and Ken on Zoom. And also Donna Griffiths and Rosemary for the town clerk's office, Donna for the minutes. And also present are Sean Enterline from VEPSA and Ken St. Amour from VEPSA to talk to us about meters, I believe. And we're waiting for, we can't have that discussion until Nate comes, and I told him he didn't need to come till 7. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. So do we have any items to add to the agenda?
Well, I would like to add that I'm going to apply for an AARP grant again. And I'd like to use the village for the person or the municipality applying for the grant. And it's for Legion Field.
Okay.
For winter placemaking.
Okay.
There's a possibility I won't apply for it if I can't get everything lined up. But I would like permission if I can get everything lined up.
So we need to have a discussion about that. And then also that reminds me, we also need to have put on the agenda to set a date to discuss the disbursement of our ARPA funds, which we have not done yet.
This is different than what.
This
is different.
So it's two separate things, but
This is a separate grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything else to add to the agenda?
Hi, this is Julia Leopold. I don't know if you can hear me, but I just wanted to add for the record that I am also here from VEPSA as well to discuss the Value of Public Power campaign.
Hi, Julia. Thank you for coming.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
And is there anyone else on there that I don't recognize as Ken is there? Who's
Dan Kopp is there.
Oh, Dan.
Dan's
Hi,
in the
Dan.
other corner.
I see Dan is attending by Zoom also.
Aaron's here and Cynthia Henry's here.
Pardon?
Aaron Calvin's here and Cynthia Henry's here.
Oh, Aaron. Oh, Aaron is from the Stowe Reporter, and Cynthia Hennard is
Johnson resident.
the Johnson resident. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of trustee meetings, August 31st, 2022, September 12th, 2022, and September 21st, 2022.
The September 21st one, I don't have it in front of me, but we need to change. On it, it says we approve the meeting with the select board for the 21st, when we actually did it for the 12th.
Oh, can you?
So the date, or the 19th.
I must have got the numbers.
It was the night, it should have been the 12th, and you had the 19th or something.
I remember there were 2 days, it sounded like we were settling on one.
Yeah, we set it on for tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, and I know it's tomorrow, but so did I say the next?
Yeah, you said the 19th instead of the whatever the date. Yeah, that was the only thing that we, yeah.
Are there any other changes or corrections to the minutes or additions that anyone has? I need a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes of the August 31st, September 12th, and September 21st.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye, and Ken votes aye. It's unanimous. The next item on the agenda, treasurer's report, review and approve bills, budget status, and any action items, signatures needed.
Was there anything out of the ordinary or any red flags that you saw, Rosemary, in all this?
No, not yet. I'm gonna do another one after this big batch of bills that you were signing, because that will change this dramatically. And, because it's like 445, yeah, thousand in there. There's some loan payments and paying back the town for some, the two drums, and there's some large, and the village paid the rent to the general department, so it's just moving a lot of money around.
So you're gonna do a separate
I'm
new,
gonna do a new one of these after those checks are run,
okay,
and that will be a better picture for
okay.
the 9 months.
Are you nervous? Yeah, you look it.
A little bit. The
Yeah.
electric department is not as good as I thought it was gonna be.
Okay. Okay.
Just trying to. We received our final payment for the rescue plan money today. Today, we have about $450,000 that will need to be committed by 2024 and spent by 2026.
Well, that's,
So,
is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
but we need to get moving on that, and at
Yes.
least have an initial
Plan.
meeting.
But we really don't have 450, right?
Yes, we do. In the bank.
But were we taking like 125 and paying over, we didn't have enough money to cover last year's budget.
That's
right?
what some of the enterprise funds, Meredith she did it, so it looked like there was gonna be a zero balance. We'll have to wait till we get closer to the end before we know if that's where you guys want to spend the money, or
Okay,
What were those dates again? The 2024 and 2026?
of November.
Hi, are you Rob Rodriguez?
November?
I don't know.
Hi,
if it's November.
Steve Hatfield.
It's those years
Hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That we have to spend it,
by 2026. It's gonna be committed by 2024.
okay.
Did any of you look at the select board minutes from the last meeting? When they went over their whole ARPA thing?
Oh,
There
yeah.
was a law in there that they had on their wish list that they turned it down and says that's
Well,
village,
we're-
that's up to the village, not up to us, not up to the town.
Do you
So-
remember what they
Oh,
were?
there were a lot. So we'll have to look at those. I was gonna write them down, just didn't have time tonight, but I will.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, I guess whoever, when we run that meeting, when
Yeah.
we should have that list in front of us, so that
Mhm.
we may want to add some of those.
We definitely,
Or a lot of
I
them.
mean, there's some that are common sense. but-
Yeah.
yeah.
Kyle emailed me a list today of like 13 items, most of which seem pretty reasonable. Some are even like what I would consider safety items, like
Right.
sidewalks
Right.
and stuff.
That was one of the select.
Mhm.
things.
Yeah. Okay, anything else, Rosemary?
Okay, regarding the River Street Pump Station project, I have several times emailed the Cynthia Parks, she's a state engineer, to sign off on J. McDonald's invoices,
Mhm.
and she has not since July. So I reached out to our engineering firm, to see if maybe they could prod her or something. And he said if he does not hear from her by the end of tomorrow, he's gonna reach out to her boss.
Okay,
And we've probably got several $100,000 that are due to the village. And I was wondering if I could do some short-term borrowing from the CIG fund to hold us over till we get that money.
because you're gonna have to pay these bills real
Mhm,
soon, right? And how long does it take to arrange a short-term loan? A day or two, or
Well, I
how?
can This is our money that we have.
Just
in our-
transfer.
our
Just moving it
community-
around.
Just moving it around.
It's in our community improvement grant fund. which
Yeah,
has
do whatever
well
you
over
have to
2,000.
do, by all means, so
I
that we
just
don't
want to make
bounce
sure I have your
checks.
permission to
Yes,
do that.
do, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
It's that $200,000 that we have in the fund, right?
Yeah.
That-
Yeah. we'll
Okay.
do it.
Yep.
And how much of that do you need?
Yeah,
Oh, I'll have to look and see,
about.
probably a good 150 of it. We're hoping just for just a couple of months.
Well, since how it hasn't been used in forever or ever, I think it's not an issue.
And have you ever had to do this before?
We did when the fire station burned. And when we had some other big projects, we just reimbursed ourselves back.
And the reason why we have to do this time is because,
We haven't got our reimbursement from the state for the pump station project.
okay,
That's
okay,
a Cynthia thing.
Yes.
yeah, okay. And that's gonna be about $2,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and our delinquent taxes, we're at 97.37% collected. I'll give you a list of,
That's about as good as it gets, isn't
Gonna
it?
say that's pretty-
Or better?
Probably 85% of these people are in mobile homes.
Right. So it's a lot of small amounts.
Mhm.
Unless they owe for several years.
Yes.
But even then, they're all pretty small.
It's $3,000 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next item on the agenda then, which is members of the public. And I guess we can squeeze you in right now, Rob, and then you can go home.
Okay, I actually have a meeting next door at 7, so.
Oh.
So I won't be going home, but you can squeeze me out.
Yeah, so you got the floor.
I have the form, yes.
The floor and the
The
form.
floor is mine.
The floor is yours.
Can we get him to step up to the mic, please?
Yeah, I was just about to say
Yeah.
that.
Right here.
Please, yeah.
Better?
Better, fine for
Yeah.
me, but Ken and.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So every, I don't know how many years, I'm not sure what the last slip was for years, but periodically, the Snowmobile Club asks for permission to travel, in your case, the jointly owned talc mill property. And then the village also owns some property way up on top at the end of Reservoir Road that we cross just a little corner. Catalonia's Camp used to be right there. And then we cross some village property that is on 842 Upper Crenshaw Road. We actually leased that property from the village, so I'm not sure we need permission, but it's on here anyway.
Yep.
So our time has expired and we're here to have the permission signed and we keep these current, I suppose, because one, we want you guys to know what we're doing. Two, for us to apply for VAST grants and trail work grants and things like that, we have to have all of our paperwork in order. So this is part of it.
How often do you have to do that? Do you have to come back every year? Or is this a multi-year?
So it depends. So this one I have set up for 5 years, but it could be 2 years, it could be 1 year. So we have to do this with every landowner we have. And some of them do 10 years, some of them do 1. It's
So how long was the last one that was signed off? How long was that one for?
for you guys.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years. So I made this one 5 just because it's easier not to have to keep coming back so often. On the other hand, even if you sign this for 100 years, at any time you could call and say, hey, there's a problem or.
So Rob, not to
Yes.
interrupt you, but this is standard use, which you have been using for the past 25 years.
Yeah, I would say 25 years that I know of. I mean, it was before that, even before I got here.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. We're not doing
So I
anything.
can make this real easy on you. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to allow Sterling snow riders the use of all existing areas they have been using
Second.
for the 5-year term that he has proposed.
we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. You've got it, Rob.
Perfect.
Mr.
I just
Chair,
need somebody to sign
I
their
will
name
sign.
on here.
Bring it right
I'd like
over.
to make a motion that the chair sign for the village.
Where do I sign?
It would be in this.
I'm the landowner.
You're the landowner.
I think we need a motion, Mr. Chair. I'll make the motion to have you sign for the village.
It's already done.
Do we need a motion, Rosemary?
I thought that's what we were motioning for.
No, I motion to have use of the land that they've
Oh,
been using for the past 25 years.
All right, so we got another motion by Ken. Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion on that? Vote.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous also.
Happy snow travels to the club, Rob.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully we get some snow this year.
Yeah, really. Better than last year, huh?
Yeah, last year was rough.
See, for all the landowners.
Yeah, we have about 55.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
Do you do them or does a bunch?
I
of
do some, other
Okay.
people do some. We
Spread
try
it
to
out.
split it up. 'cause
Yeah,
it's-
good.
the things we've been learning. So we're gonna be right next door. I'm gonna try to keep it down.
Is it in that room?
Yeah,
Oh.
You guys get rowdy or what?
not usually, but you never know.
You'll have to watch out for the trustees.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wild bunch here.
Do these go to Rosemary?
Let us know.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Do we sign anything?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. There should be a.
There was a paper that was on top.
Yeah.
The last paper was on top.
Oh, the.
That might be one of these.
So, any other members of the public? Speak.
Mr. Chair, can we bump Dan up so he doesn't have to hang out?
Can we what?
Dan. Can
Dan,
you bump
oh,
Dan?
yeah, he's right, he's next on the list. Dan, you're on. How are you feeling, Dan?
Better. Every day is a challenge, but getting through it. So looks like I'll be around for a couple months before I go in for surgery. So into November. So
Well, I hope you heal rapidly and quickly.
well, I hope so too. Thank you. Let's see. On the wastewater end, the EDMR and WR43 were submitted to the state. We had an air line blow on the belt press during our last run, which bent a gear shaft because of it. We were able to repair the gear shaft and we're able to finish the run the same day. We began on the rehabbing of the belt press. During the last 2 weeks, we removed and replaced the main rollers, gearbox, grease seals, and belt on the gravity side. We're waiting on Feral Electric to get the brushes in for the motor. We're having them replace the brushes and bearings on the drive motor. We'll start on the front section after our next press run. Met with Champlin Associates to correct the mission communication alarm dialer at the Railroad Street Pump Station. That now is operating properly. Brookfield Services service the emergency backup generator at the wastewater plant. The siphon that goes under the Guion River on Main Street was plugged. We have Minosh jet the siphon and the overflow, and we're back up and running normally within a few hours. We did the final mowings and fall cleanup at all of the facilities. I gave a tour to Eric of the wastewater plant, the water plant, and the pump stations. I attended a Zoom meeting with Eric Rosemary with RCAP, who is performing the wastewater rate study. After being stalled for many reasons on both sides, that's back on track. That was a requirement of state funding for the River Pump Station, and frankly, it was long overdue. So hopefully he's hoping to have something potentially that we could vote on before our annual meeting. So he'll probably come in and give an update to the trustees at he said probably be December meeting. On the water side, all coliform samples were negative. We had an overheating problem with the emergency backup generator at the water plant. There were some leaking gaskets and we're able to get them tightened up and solve the immediate problem. The radiator is basically starting to fail, and they're going to work up a quote for replacing the radiator, gaskets, and bolts. We had a small leak in the chlorine dosing line. We replaced that section of line from the pump to the injection point, and all returned to normal. Water loss for September was 21%.
Was how much?
21%.
Is that
Anything-
about, isn't that a little
Going
bit
up.
higher than normal?
It's up a little bit. Anything under 20% is considered good. 21's not something to be alarmed at. If it consistently starts getting up higher than that, then we potentially could have a leak somewhere. But
we are also in drought.
True. So there's that too. So overall, 21% still considered pretty good.
When you have a chlorine leak, is there an alarm that goes off for that?
Not for that. What it was just a pinhole. So when we went down and we didn't have our usual strong residual, it was a little bit less. Then we started to figure out what it was. And so it was leaking, going down the drain, just a pinhole. Probably 3/4 of the dosing was going correctly, which still is well above state requirements. That wasn't an issue, but we noticed that it was lower than normal. And so then we figured out, where it was, what the problem was. And that's what it was. That was right in the well house, down to the water plant.
Thank you.
And so the RCAP solutions, that's part of a study to raise our water rates. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll probably present several options. I honestly don't know exactly the rate structure you have, but they'll offer, some places charge more of a flat rate for commercial than they do for residential. And then they look at basically the expenses and are we meeting it, which right now we're not. So it'll look at also balancing that budget and probably with the rate increase. Yeah. Which it's been 4 or 5 years, Rosemary, since we've had a rate increase.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. So you're looking at 6 years since we've had a rate increase. So.
And roughly what percentage-wise, how far short are we of our revenue from our budget or our
Expensive.
I'm trying to remember. I want to say, do you remember, Rosemary? Because we're going to pull out of the ARPA funds to balance the budget.
I think water was a little bit less than the electric, but it was a total of 125,000 that we were going to take out of ARPA and put it into the short.
I want to say it was like 25 for the water, if I remember correctly.
Right, and we concentrate on the wastewater because the wastewater is what was required to have the state funding. I believe they are going to do the water also. It just may not happen as readily as the wastewater one. So this one they're doing right now is the wastewater.
So aren't they just tied together? You do the one rate study and it's the same. It's based on use, right? Or no?
I believe so. I was a little unclear in that meeting when I got done, which that they were doing both of them because he concentrated strictly on wastewater questions, not water questions. But, I can ask him. I can reach out to John and ask him to clarify that for us.
And do we know any more about the pump station up at Katie Wynn. Is there anything new there?
Nothing new there. Yeah, we're gonna have to put that in the budget for next year, because it's gonna be a significant expense, so.
We need to get our attorney to draft a thing for them to sign on that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting to hear on the Nadu well from, Nate said he was gonna have, Percy get in touch with us as far as what they wanted to do up there with that, existing line. So I haven't heard any more from them.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Feel up.
Did that work?
I'll read the fire department report. We're kind of waiting for Nate to come to do the electric. It's short. Johnson Fire Department report, August 25th to September 29th, 2022. Calls. Johnson Fire Department responded to 20 calls. 14 calls occurred during the daytime. 6 calls occurred during the nighttime. The average duration was 70 minutes. Nature, those calls were 6 automatic alarms, 1 carbon monoxide alarm, 3 vehicle crashes, 3 medical assists, 1 smoke condition, 1 odor investigation, 1 wilderness rescue, 2 mutual aid, structure fire and propane leak, and 2 other public assist. Staff, the average number of firefighters that responded was 11. Total hours of service was 208. Other, the firefighters on our fire prevention committee are preparing materials for distribution into the elementary schools, Johnson and Waterville, for the upcoming fire prevention month of October. We have 3 firefighters enrolled in the nearly year-long Firefighter 1 class, which is both a state and nationally recognized certification. I have 1 correction to last month's report. The period should have been July 28th to August 24th and not July 28th to September 29th as printed. Respectfully submitted, RJ West Fire Chief. And now we'll start going to the discussion and action items. Number 1 is to appoint Eric Bailey as the Water Commissioner and the VEPSA Board of Directors representative.
So motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? All those in favor? So this is for both.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Number 2 is a VEPSA update. Maybe one of you can do that for us. I don't know. Can you, Ken?
Or
I don't know what.
Julia.
Oh, Julia, right. Sorry. Can you do that for us, Julia?
Did she leave?
Hello, I can. I am wondering if you want this to be the discussion about the value of public power campaign, or if you wanted to have Sean talking first about the Howard Wind purchase.
Let's start with Sean and Howard Wynn, and then maybe he can leave. I don't know.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you got the floor.
My name is Sean.
Recording in progress.
From Public Power Supply Authority. 6 weeks ago, we recommended to the VEPSA utilities to purchase a 5-year commitment for the Howard Wind project in Steuben County. Proposals to import that wind at the same location for the North Power Authority, hydropower from the North System of New England, and take that wind power for the next 5 years to keep our cost down. So what we're looking for is a motion to enable the town manager to sign the offer letter. I've got copies of these if you haven't already received one. And finishing up the last two of our approvals tonight. Jacksonville, that's where Ken Milton is tonight, as you know. And this is one of his agenda items there.
So this is just a potential for us to buy power, right? It's not that we, it's like a future or something. It's like our ability if we need it at a good price. Is that kind of how it works? Or?
Price is part of it. Volume is the other part of it. We have had a 5-year contract with the Seabrook Nuclear Station that ends this December. And this is intended to replace part of that power. So we try and keep supply and demand in balance. If they're out of balance, we carry financial risk in the grid operating markets. So this is to replace the remaining Seabrook nuclear power that will expire starting January 1, 2023 to December 27. The price is excellent. This is the reason we're importing out of region is because of price. If you were to buy the same wind project here in New England, we actually had a comparable quote from a wind project in Maine. And it's about 40% more expensive because of the natural gas.
And where is this one?
Yeah.
Steuben County, New York.
Is this the one on the Tug Hill Plateau by any chance that I've driven past? Or is that some different
I think
one?
it's further south.
Oh, okay.
But it's like anything these days, you can find all you want to know about it just with a quick Google search.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say that Central New York doesn't suffer from the same supply constraints that New England does. So the owner of this project couldn't get as much money selling it within the New York region. So they're choosing to import it to us at a discount. So we're sharing those benefits.
And isn't it true that we're required to buy a certain percentage of our power from renewable sources, or there's penalties or something like that?
Yes, Vermont has a law called the Renewable Energy Standard. It requires increasing percentages of renewable energy to be sold through 2032. We like nuclear power. We would have extended that contract. It's carbon free, but it does not qualify under that law. So we're switching over to things that do qualify. And so if we get right down to the
Which are hydro, solar, and wind, basically?
And biomass.
Oh, and biomass.
Now these are the shares that we do every year, correct?
The shares.
He's talking about Vermont Transco.
Oh,
Stop.
yeah, this is power supply. The Vermont Transco shares does recur different issue.
We're going to discuss that later. Is this power cheaper than the other one that we were getting? Or
Oh no, that's the problem we face. So Seabrook Nuclear Station is selling us power roughly $50 a megawatt hour. This power is going to net down to about 60, so it's going to feel like a little more expensive. This memo lays out that math. It's an $80 contract, but we get the renewable energy credits, and they're qualified in Massachusetts, not here. So we'll sell those to Massachusetts utilities for $30, probably more. So 80 becomes 50. But then we have to buy back the Vermont qualifying renewable energy credit, which is roughly $10. So it will be, what is that, 20% or so more expensive than Seabrook was.
Okay. And what's the bottom line? How much is this going to cost us, like this year and the next? Or is it just for 1 year we're going to sign this, or?
It's a 5-year.
5-year, okay.
May I give you this? Just,
yes,
I know
please.
You're going to go through it now, but
yeah.
So. Question.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll give one to Ken.
So Steve, the way things work in New England is.
Can I get you to stand in front of the mic, please?
Sure, my apologies. The grid operator will force you to buy power if you don't buy it for yourself. And so that's the default situation. We're going to buy it from them at some unknown price when the day gets here, when the hour gets here. This is intended to replace that power. We don't want to run that risk. We want a fixed price on the variable one. So yeah, at today's market prices for January power, for instance, we're expecting a $300 per megawatt hour market. This is going to be 80 minus those reps up and down. So it's going to look great in winter, no question. It'll probably be closer to par or break even throughout the spring and summer. And that's one other nice feature of this resource. Wind power, because of our region, produces the most electricity in the wintertime. And that's when we carry most of this price risk. So that's serendipity. It's just a really nicely shaped seasonal supply. We don't get as much of it in the summer. We don't need as much of it in the summer. Yeah, that graph you're looking at.
It looks like a mountain range.
Yeah,
up and
well,
down.
That's everybody has habits, and we all go to bed at night and electricity bottoms out. We all have a propensity to turn on heat and air conditioning during those seasons, and yeah, so that's why the mountain range looks the way it does. The green piece on top is what we're proposing to have Johnson purchase. So we did 11 of these letters. The rest of the BEPS utilities, like I said, with Jacksonville is the exception.
So it looks like we purchased more than what you expect than what the demand would be.
Yeah, we try very hard to get demand and supply to match. We call it a hedge ratio about 100%, but life's unpredictable. So we're always operating with plus or minus 5% bandwidth. And you're correct, we are pushing the top end of that bandwidth deliberately. We'd rather have more than less going into this winter's season.
So what would happen if you didn't have enough?
The default is the ice in New England. The grid operator will provide that power to you. It'll just be at a
Their price.
Yeah.
We don't.
And what is their price?
They price electricity hourly. Yeah, and electricity is like nothing else in our lives. We pay most attention to gasoline prices because that's on a billboard every time we drive around our lives. And we're used to seeing that move by nickels and dimes, maybe quarters. Electricity doesn't do that. Electricity moves by factors of 10. So I often come to work and it'll be $50 in the morning and $500 in the afternoon. That's what happens. $5,000 does happen about once a decade. I think Texas a couple years ago. So back to your question, where's the power come from? If we don't do this, it will be ice in New England, but you'll face that range of uncertainty, and we have to avoid that.
We don't really lose electricity, right? We don't, like, we're gonna purchase a certain amount, right, correct? And if we don't use it, then what happens? I mean,
or are we locking into a price period, no matter how much we lose? How much
you use or don't use? I mean, I don't know how that
works. When you have a
works.
deficit, when your supply is less than your demand, you will buy from the grid operator. If you have a surplus, the grid operator will buy it from you at that same price. It's a balancing.
So you don't lose anything. You don't gain and you don't lose, but you make sure you have enough.
You're just locked in at a price.
Yeah, if you focus in on any given hour, these imbalances between supply and demand are just the most common thing in the world. That's why the grid operator exists, balance that out. These graphics are set up monthly. That's a more reasonable time frame, probably because that's how we're fiscally set up to pay bills, but that quantity of megawatt hours is much more predictable. Typical month has a typical demand, and wind power being seasonal is a typical supply. So you're getting a monthly, I'm a finance guy, so it's a financial hedge against the monthly supply and demand balance.
So is there any kind of insurance policy? What if something happens to that wind farm? What if something happens to 10% of their turbines? Some fluke storm comes to, or ice storm. What is there any kind of backup or insurance that if something happens to those?
The two things will happen. First, this contract places that risk with the purchaser, so in this case, Johnson. If lightning strikes a blade and the tower is inoperable for a month, we simply won't get as much power. We also won't pay for as much power. We only pay for what we get. The other legal document that's at play here is, so you're entering a contractual relationship with Vermont Public Power Supply Authority, but Vermont Public Power Supply Authority will in turn have what we call a master agreement with the power marketer themselves. That is a thick industry standard boilerplate legal document that
Nobody
includes
can
force
understand
majeure.
when they read it.
Yeah, well, it covers all of the very rare what ifs.
Yeah,
And yeah, so these.
I was just thinking about the ice storm 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that took all the towers down, coming down through Montreal, through Canada.
So the insurance is held obviously by the owner for those events. Contractually, we will have less supply for some period of time after that.
But when they're trying to
Subject to-
rebuild, they're not gonna raise our rates.
No, this price is.
Yeah, that's, we're locked in.
Duration of the agreement.
So we're just gonna sign to contract to do this, and how much is it gonna cost us now? Or doesn't it? How does that work?
Yeah, the purchase power agreements are nice this way. You don't prepay anything. It's not like owning a wind project. It's a pay as you go arrangement. So you will be billed monthly by BEPSA for power received previously.
And this is what's been done in the past, it's just been through Seabrook, right?
Yeah, this is BEPSA's.
It's not anything any
origin.
different than what we've ever done,
This is the different source, yeah. That's
just a
exactly
different
right.
source.
In a different amount.
Yeah, if we rewind 2 years, I was here just pre-pandemic actually to get approval for something called the Brookfield Hydro Purchase Power Agreement. That was step one. Seabrook was a big chunk of power. We knew it was going away at that point 2 years later. So we bought hydropower from a developer here in New England. It's a Canadian company, but they're based in New England. That had a beautiful price. It actually is less expensive than the nuclear power at the time. So we, it's kind of a 2/3, 1/3. We bought about 2/3 of the power and replaced Seabrook with hydro at that time. And this is that last third. Markets have changed enormously since then. That's the unfortunate part.
Well, thank you for your really clear explanations.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think all we need is a motion to enable Mr. Eric to the town.
Okay.
Yep.
Any
Motion for Eric to sign.
second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Rosemary, does this sound right to you?
Yes, it does.
Any other discussion? Vote, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
You're an aye, and
Yeah.
chair votes aye as well. It's unanimous. So we'll inform Eric of that. So, thank you. So you don't have anything more you need to, or are you sticking around to help your buddy?
I could already be a church.
Okay.
I would, but that's not the case. So,
Okay, so Julia, do you have another part of the presentation to do for us?
I do, yes.
Great,
Um,
you got the
glad that
floor.
we'll have something. We'll have
Great. Hi, everyone. So my name's Julia Leopold. I'm the VEPSA Director of Public Affairs. It's great to be here. So thank you, for having me. I've met a couple of you. I think I've spoken with a couple of you on the phone at times. So good to put faces to names. So I'm here to talk kind of about two things. The first is about something that we're calling the Value of Public Power campaign. And then I can also stick around while Ken Sanamore talks about our interactions with VSC. So I can kind of support and provide some more context to those conversations. But I want to start off by talking about the Value of Public Power campaign. So I'm going to backtrack to about a year ago. About a year ago, we hired this organization called Momentum Communications to help support VEPSA in our outreach to our multiple different audiences. So, as VEPSA and as a public power utility, you're often interacting with your customers. We interact quite a bit with legislators and regulators, and we wanted to make sure that the message that we were conveying to these audiences is one that really shows the value of public power and why this model of an electric utility is such an important thing to have in Vermont. So we brought Momentum Communications on to help us figure out, how do we do this? How do we solidify our messaging, and how do we craft those messages in a way that it's received positively? So we started last fall by having Momentum conduct some interviews. So they met with all of our members' directors, and then they also met with a couple of trustees from each member utility. And what we learned from those, interactions with the directors and with the trustees, and we also interviewed a few of VEPSA staff members as well, was that what we really needed to do was come up with some solid values and a positioning statement, and also a tagline that we could agree on. So the values are our list of things that we all collectively as public power organizations in Vermont feel strongly about. What do we hold to the highest standards? The positioning statement is what sets us apart, what makes us different. If you had to, just take public power in Vermont and boil it down to just a couple of sentences, what would those sentences be? And then finally, the tagline is a unified message that we can all use in external outreach. So, if we're sharing on social media, or if we're crafting a message to legislators, we have this one tagline that we are all collectively using and we're coming together around. And that will really strengthen our message as public power entities. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not sure if I have this capability, I'd like to share my screen, because the VEPSA Board of Directors decided on some values and the positioning statement. So I'm going to see if I can share that here. Oh, it says host disabled participant sharing. Is anyone able to enable participant sharing?
Working on it.
Thank you. So just a little bit more about the values and the positioning statement. These are what we consider to be internal statements. So we're not sharing these publicly. They're not used in our outreach. They're just kind of all concepts that we can rally around and feel comfortable with internally. So the way that we look at this is that, everyone at Morrisville Water and Light can look at these values and say, yeah, I feel good about that. I agree with these value statements. And then everyone in Swanton Village at the electric utility will have that same reaction. They feel comfortable with those value statements. And ideally, you folks at the Village of Johnson will feel comfortable with them as well. But again, they're not for external sharing. There we go. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Can't read it.
It's,
Yeah, we
the
can't read
print is too small.
Is that any better?
That's better.
That's good enough. I feel like I'm at my eye doctor.
Bring it a little in, because we can't.
Go in a little smaller, just a smidge.
A little smaller?
Yeah.
How's that?
It's going off the page.
I can scroll. So we can go through these one at a time.
Thank you.
So starting with affordability. So again, these are our internal values that we all collectively share. Affordability, we strive to keep electricity costs low for all customers. Reliability, we invest in our grid and maintain a diverse power supply portfolio to keep electricity flowing. If power goes out, we have the resources to get it back on as quickly as possible. Accountability. Our customers are our neighbors, friends, and family. They can voice opinions at our open meetings and can rely on us to be responsive and serve them with integrity. Sustainability. We have been meeting our community's needs for over 100 years. We take into account the environment, our local businesses and jobs, and individual and family needs. Community. We work with our municipality and local elected officials to go above and beyond what's expected to help our community thrive. Collaboration. We are a team of Vermont municipal electricity utilities, pardon me, strengthened by the expertise of services of local, regional, and national organizations. We unite to find solutions. Equity. We believe in fair treatment and access for all customers. And then the positioning statement. We have been providing affordable and reliable services for more than 100 years, and we intend to be here for the next 100 years. We are not-for-profit public power that is community-owned and controlled. We make sustainable and responsible decisions about our community's needs. We care because we live and work here, and we are accountable to our community. It is more than a job. It is about neighbors helping neighbors. So these are the statements that our board of directors came up with and felt comfortable with. So we wanted to share them with you just to recognize that these are all, I think, values and, a positioning statement that we're able to rally public power around. And again, this is not really for sharing external with any messaging, but it is something that when we read this, that we all feel comfortable with and we can support, and that nothing really jumps out at us and says, wait a sec, that doesn't make sense for my, my utility. So I just wanted to start off by sharing that, and I can send that out to you all. So you each have a copy of it, and you can, just have it and do with it what you please. But the next step about where we're headed with all of this, now that we've solidified our values and our positioning statement, next we need to come up with a tagline. And that's the piece that I think is a little more controversial because it is going to be public facing. And ideally, we would have all the VEPSA member utilities, again, supporting this tagline. So at our board of directors level, we've come up with two taglines that we feel good about. But what we want to do is workshop them. So what we're hoping to do at the end of this month is host 2 focus groups. And we would like up to 2 trustees from each VEPSA member utility to attend the focus group and provide your feedback and your input. And I don't want to share what the taglines are just yet because I want you to be able to have the opportunity to react to it in real time at the focus group. But what I'm going to ask today is that you pick 1 or 2 of you to attend one of the focus groups. And those focus groups are expected to be held on Monday, the 24th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And the second one is on Wednesday, the 26th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So that's kind of I don't know if you necessarily need an action item for that, but if you all can decide who is going and which group you're attending, my general manager, Ken Nolan, is going to be sending out a more formal email invitation, and he'll be able to, share that information with you, and you can respond for which one works for you.
Would you repeat the second date, please, Julia?
Yep, the second date is Wednesday, the 26th, 6:30 to 8 p.m.
And it will be only one of those dates, correct?
Just one. Yep. Pick which one to go to. And so what we're hoping will come from that focus group is that we'll have some consensus, or we'll have more reactions to the taglines. Then we'll have our board of directors vote to approve the tagline at our November meeting. That's at the VEPSA board of directors meeting. And then finally, in December, we're going to use that time to start creating content. So there'll be social media posts, there'll be front porch forum posts, there'll be, potentially some newspaper ads. And we expect to launch our Value of Public Power campaign in January 2023. The idea behind that is that our legislative audience is an audience that we would really like to build relationships and connections with. So we're thinking that as we launch that campaign, we'll be targeting that specific audience quite a bit, and just raising the, the clout of our public power utilities in Vermont. Are there any questions for me about the Value Public Power campaign?
No?
All right. That's it for that subject. Again, just keep an eye out for an email coming from us inviting you all to participate, and we're hoping that 1 or 2 of you will be able to attend one of those meetings.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
So I see that Nate Brigham, our foreman, is here. Do you know Ken Moore by any chance, Nate? Never met. Okay, so meet Ken, meet Nate, who is our foreman. And that brings us to our next topic, which is the meter replacement, I believe, at NVU. And you got the floor, okay, Ken?
Yeah, about a month ago, I was approached by Julia and her group to look into getting price quote for meter change out for the primary meter at NVU. And so I approached Air Waterhouse with Morrisville Water and Light to get a quote to see what it would cost to replace that meter. And Julia probably could explain what the desire of that is better than I can. So I can turn that over to you, to her in a moment. But what I found in talking with Eric is he's proposing an Alpha A3 meter, which is a standard poly-based meter, with one of 2 communications channels, either an Ethernet or a telephone modem. And price installed with the telecommunications equipment was roughly around $2,000. That would include the meter itself with the common equipment. And if you went with a phone line, wouldn't need another device there, but the monthly charges to interrogate that would be around $5.
Is anyone better than the other? Is Ethernet better than the phone?
Ethernet would be a little bit more reliable. Phones can sometimes be on the Ethernet side, we would need a router in there, which is around $600. And then probably around $20. Would be very similar to what we did by Rosemary or what we did. We had to do the upgrade recently at the Tide Point. So that's what I found from Eric. He would be doing the install, and essentially, Julia, if you want to speak to what.
Well, first, can I just, while Nate's here, can I just find out what he would have to do to help make this happen, so that we can.
I don't.
No, I'm not. I'm asking Ken, not you, but or either one.
I was just wondering what the metrics up there already are. Does anybody know about that? There's already metrics, the college rates. Stuff. If there's anything you need, yeah, Eric indicated that there are some devices like that. So that will be traced down.
Okay, I can't hear what's going on, so everybody's gotta get by the mic, please.
Basically, Eric would have to find out what that's doing, if it is still being used. Yeah, it's all the colleges. And then that would have to be connected to the. Yeah. So.
So Eric Waterhouse would be the one that would actually be the person that would be installing, right?
Yes, he would program the meter and install it. He's the metering technician that I typically go to ask these types of questions.
So what role would Nate play in this? Does he really play any role in it?
Well, not directly, the metering technician, unless you do.
I haven't done too much with the dance, I phone and reset, that's all I've ever done.
So
we usually get Eric to do all our for the demand meters.
somebody would work with Eric.
And does Nate have to shut all the power off to the college to do this, or how does that work? No? You just pull one and.
He just isolates the meter socket. And
And Nate's other biggest concern about possibly losing some of the readings that were on the old meter, is that you're confident you can address that? Or that,
I'm confident Eric.
okay.
I guess maybe we should clarify that. But I mean, yeah, we would have to work with Nate, Eric would have to work with Nate to see when, number one, when it would be done. And, what those KYC fees are. That's determined and make sure that's right.
Okay.
Can we back up a minute and why are we replacing this in the first place?
Okay, Julia, if you would take that, please.
Yeah, I can take that one for sure. And I see that Mike Stevens is also on the call from VSC. So Mike, you're welcome to jump in at any point. So I'm going to go back, a couple of years now. I'm sure you all recall that early on in the pandemic, there was potentially a threat that the college campus in Johnson could close. Since then, the Vermont legislature had made it a priority to figure out how do we keep the campus open, but how do we assist this campus and all of the VSC campuses in reducing their costs. So Vermont Public Power Supply Authority at the same time started developing a key accounts program where we would work with our member utilities and their largest customers to help serve them in a way that ensures that the customers that are the economic drivers of the community are able to thrive. And it was just very clear right off the bat that customer for the Village of Johnson is the college campus. So I started meeting with Mike Stevens and a couple other folks from VSC probably about a year or so ago. And something that was flagged was the fact that the college campus is experiencing high utility costs. And one of those utility costs is the demand charge. So the demand charge is set at some point during the month when their demand is the highest, and they get charged based on that. The problem is that given the metering infrastructure that's in place, they have no insight into when or where on the campus that demand is peaking. So we started working with Efficiency Vermont to install sub-metering around the college campus so that they can get some visibility into each of the different buildings that could be a driver of that demand. But really what we need to understand is when that demand is occurring campus-wide. So that means not only do we need to do some limited sub-metering of individual buildings, but we also need to get more frequent data from the primary meter. So that's why we're proposing swapping out the existing meter for hourly. It's going to provide VSC with much more insight into what their charges are and when their demand is occurring. It would also give us the opportunity to work more closely with VSC if we determine that their demand is occurring at a time that the utility is receiving some different fees, then we could potentially adjust their rate structure. That's all kind of to be determined. There's basically like this whole array of solutions out there of how we could help VSC cut their costs while still benefiting the Johnson utility. But we can't implement any of those solutions until we have the data in front of us. And replacing this primary meter is the way to get access to that data. So the way that I look at this is that this is an investment from the utility, but it's an investment in one of your customers that is the economic driver of your community. So I would highly recommend it. I think it will give us just a lot of different options of how we can further assist VSC. And this is, I should just mention, this is one of many different areas that we'll be exploring. This is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on things right now, but VSC has a plan to look into how to reduce their budget over the next, I think, 5 years, right, Mike? 5 years. So we plan to be working pretty closely with VSC and assisting them in whatever capacity we can that we find to be, beneficial to the community at large. So yeah, this is my plea to say that you've got this campus in your community and they're in need of some assistance. And there are opportunities where helping them can help the municipality. We just don't know how to make that happen until we have the data and the insight.
Is there just one meter on campus for the whole campus, or does each building have individual? It's 1 meter for the whole campus.
Pretty much. We've got
Yeah.
satellites out there. Call it the president's house. We got some street light metering, but the main meter is at our side.
So will this new meter distinguish between buildings and between dorms? No.
That's what the sub-metering is for. So Efficiency Vermont has already installed, I think it's 6 or 7 different sub-meters across the campus on the buildings that they think might be the ones driving the peak. So that will provide some limited time insight, but the primary meter will give you a look at what's happening campus-wide.
Thank you.
And folks, Mike Stevens for the record, formerly the facilities director at NVU, so I was responsible for both Johnson and Linden's campuses. Working now on the transformation team from the chancellor's office, and happy to answer any of those other questions. So in regards to, no, it's not the only meter there, Lynda, but 95% of our cost goes through that 1 meter. There are a few other ancillary meters on the campus.
Thanks.
You good, Diane?
Pardon?
Questions?
Are you good? Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Ken?
Yeah, I understand.
So I guess we're looking for a motion to purchase this meter, correct?
What was the exact amount again? 2,000, around 2,000 or?
Batch, roughly 2,000.
I motion to purchase the meter that they need up to the college for around that 2,000 mark.
There a second?
Second.
More discussion?
My worry is that Rosemary just told us that she's scared about the electrical department income. We're falling short. We're all sure of it. We just got to be wise on this. We got a lot of things we're falling short on.
If I may, we did an analysis on how much revenue VSC provides to the utility over the course of a year, and it's over $582,000 in revenue over the course of 1 year. So this is a $2,000 investment to protect $582,000.
Yeah, I think we need to support the college, period, with this.
Yeah, because it's
We
so
need-
important to us.
We need to do whatever it
so
takes
many
to
ways.
help them.
But your concern is not unfounded, Ken. It's something we have to really be more and more careful about. I agree.
I mean, we're constantly being shorted by the state. The state takes their sweet time reimbursing us for everything, but yet we're to support a state product. It's getting hard putting everything on the small communities.
That might be.
I completely understand we need the college. I just also understand that a lot of the residents are eating a lot of this expense.
Is there any other discussion? We're ready for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Nay.
You gotta do a roll call.
Roll call. BJ,
Aye.
Diane,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
Ken,
Nay.
the chair votes in favor. It's 4-1. The motion passes.
So what are the next steps now? Who takes charge of things now? Eric, our Eric, the village man? No.
Yeah, I mean.
Or Eric Waterhouse?
Yeah, I think we would go through the new village manager to
Okay.
move this forward.
And he'll be able to put you in touch with Nate and all that. Okay, great. Is there anything else you folks need to do? Ken? Well, thanks for coming.
Nate, will this change anything this doesn't change anything for you, right?
No,
Yeah.
we were it the same as we always have.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
folks.
you.
Bye.
That's the only thing I worry about.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Nate.
The billing, that would be on Rosemary's.
And how much?
It's a meter change, it's a big meter change.
I mean, it's the big one up there.
Right.
Yeah. So how often or how likely is it that you will lose those numbers?
Once you
needed
go
for-
meter, there's nothing there.
It just goes blank?
I can't read it. I don't
Yeah,
have
that
it
would,
there.
it would get replaced.
But
right off, though.
it's like you're gonna take one off, have the new one there and put it in.
Right,
Are
and I
you-
take the other reading, but if it ever had to go back to it, I'd have to send it up to Morrisville if they can get it. Because I don't have the technology to get the reading off of it. It's liquid display. Once the power's gone, it's black.
But Morrisville could do it.
I think. No guarantees.
Can we find out before we pull it? If-
Oh, I would definitely find out.
Okay, all right. I mean, I don't understand this stuff, so. that's
So you're
why
talking
I
about
asked
you
you.
want it for the month, that way you don't lose the money in that month, is that what we're basically talking
Right,
about?
it might create a little bit of, because if we do it on the first, or when we read on the 18th or
I was
whatever.
gonna say, can we just do it right when we do the
Yeah.
reading?
Yeah,
That would be the easiest for the building, I would think.
I would think you could just plan that.
Yeah.
Got that?
We'll tell Eric.
Yeah, Eric will handle that.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
So while you're still here, Nate, we got a couple more things. One of them is the report that's been prepared by Troy. I mean, do you want to read this or?
You could read it, I gave him a lot of information. I don't know what he did, but I put my 2 cents in.
Okay, I don't mind reading it for the record. Electric department, the crew completed the following tasks. Installed a new 200 amp service at 664 Gould Hill Road and completed other line maintenance at that site. Set a pole and upgraded the overhead service at 1126 Route 100C. Provided 10 hours of mutual aid to the Village of Hyde Park, of which 4 hours were for an outage related to a broken pole, and 6 hours were related to a staffing shortage at Hyde Park. Responded to an outage on September 17th at 116 Sinclair Road. The cause was a blown transformer fuse. Service was restored within 1 hour. Retired an overhead guy wire near the Twin Bridges. Continued in-house right-of-way cutting on Sinclair and Rocky Road. Responded to a call 562 Route 15 West related to flickering lights. The electrician on site made repairs to the meter socket. The village's digger truck was sent to Alliance Truck in Underhill to diagnose check engine light issues. And that's still there, right, Nate?
Yes.
Reached out to All Tech, who repaired a leaking hose on the bucket truck in the boom. Completed monthly meter reading, high-low checks, substation check, and dig safes. Water sewer. the crew completed the following tasks. Witnessed a wet tap on the water main at 66 Lower Main West. What's that?
Where Walter Pomeroy used to be, just one house down from where Woody's was.
Uh-huh.
And what is it?
What is
does
a
that
wet
mean?
tap?
Yeah. What does that mean?
They put a corporation side along,
Uh-huh.
and they're feeding a barn out back.
Oh, so you witnessed it, you mean you watched them do it to make sure they did it right?
Oh, where they dug up the driveway and did all
Yeah.
that stuff?
Yeah,
So what was that for?
that was for a barn out back of 66.
So they have water connected to that barn now?
It's not on, but they do have water and the ability to have water. So they should be charged as such.
So they have a meter there.
No meters, no water is turned on, all off.
So in order for them to have water there, a meter will have to get installed?
Yes, and they have sewer there now too.
Oh. So how did?
He filed all the permits.
Yeah, he's
Oh.
quite a couple years ago.
Oh, so when we do things like I'm trying to remember, I can't remember. You know, we signed off on permits for people to do this and that. Did we do that too? I don't remember.
A couple years ago.
Oh,
It's been a
that
while.
long ago. Oh.
Yeah.
You good?
And is
Yep.
it that white building way in the back?
Yeah,
Okay,
the barn behind Walter's old place,
okay.
when Walter was there.
This is Richard's place, right?
Yeah.
On September 16th, assisted utility partners to unplug the sewer siphon on Main Street. On September 19th, responded to a water leak at 33 Katy Wynn East. The issue was Ship 7's side of the service. Replaced a curb stop valve box and rod at 542 Clay Hill.
And what does that mean?
That's just a cast iron standpipe that sticks up with a rod in it that I put my shut off ramp on and turn it on or off.
Oh,
Fall hydrant flushing will begin on October 11th. General Department, the crew began preparing snow removal equipment for winter. Safety, the crew attended the September NEPA safety meeting, which covered arc flash topics. Rubber gloves and sleeves were sent in for 3-month testing. Isn't arc flash what happened to Paul?
Yeah.
Administrative, Troy completed the following administrative tasks. Met with Steve Hatfield and Eric Bailey, discussed the status of projects and next steps, compiled information on the village garage project, and summarized information in email to Eric. Worked with the property owner and completed a true up for the new 200 amp service that will serve 664 Gould Hill Road. Completed an estimate and true up for a new 200 amp service that will serve 1126 Vermont Route 100C.
just a minute, Steve. So those things, are those new buildings?
No, it's Gary Underwood's home.
Oh,
He-
yeah,
he
yeah,
got a
he
new
just got a
home.
new home, yeah.
Yeah, and Candy's was a upgrade. In Bouchard's,
Mm.
Griswold.
Scheduled the yearly generator servicing for the backup generators that serve the village facilities. Reached out to TSI to schedule yearly substation transformer testing. Reached out to NA Menage and Wind River to get quotes for the annual sewer and catch basin cleaning. Reached out to Northeast Transformers and Wesco for quotes to update the village's transformer inventory. Transformer availability currently is very limited. Reached out to Wesco and Green Mountain Electrical Supply for quotes for electric department inventory. Reached out to Vision Metering to place an order for electric meters. Due to lack of supplies, I was informed that it would be at least a year until the village could expect delivery. I recommended to Nate that the village have some of its used meters tested for accuracy so they could be put in service if needed. Completed the monthly invoice coding, continued speaking with Nate frequently to discuss scheduled work and answer any questions he has.
Do we have any new meters that are in the inventory?
About 6.
Okay, is that minimal?
Yeah, I don't like going that far down. We did, I sent 12 to Eric Waterhouse up in Tourangeau for testing. 10 came back great, all zeroed out, ready to go right back on.
We're good. So we have 16 basically now.
Yeah, and I got a whole slew of old ones. The ones that I've taken in and out, houses that won't go in again. It's nice to have them tested before we put them out and have a record of it.
Sure.
So
For what-
question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, it's okay, go ahead.
With the meters, how many do you roughly go through in a year? Just,
We've been going through roughly about 24,
and how many did you put in order for?
usually 24.
So if we know it's gonna be a year out, that's gonna run us almost into 2 years. Should we put double it, just knowing it's gonna be a year out? Knowing it's gonna be a year to buy out and
It's
again?
actually now cheaper to reuse our meters.
Okay, is it? Okay.
Just wait it out, wait this craziness out.
$15 a meter, now it's up to, I think, Pro was telling me it was up to 25
To test them or to get a new one?
to get it going.
And how much does it cost to get them tested? 20?
Plus time to travel up there.
What is the reason to change one out? Do they go bad?
Sometimes. Ice falling off roofs, breaks the glass. We have some that fail periodically, new meters. For new houses that go in.
Can you recommend that that people put something over it so the ice?
We try to put it on a gable end, but it doesn't always work. I think we had only one, I think, last year. That was on budget drive.
Yeah, we have easy winter.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
So we got 2 more issues for you.
Oh, I thought we were sending.
Yeah, you're not done, buddy.
You're not done. One of them, we can just discuss openly. I would like you, if possible, just a brief summary of the issue down at the Manchester property that we looked at today. So that, because we're gonna vote just to support our attorney to begin investigating it and get the facts.
Wait, let me ask you, is this the one that they want us to pay for? They want us to pay for that they did the work on?
I'm not sure about that. Although it's the
About the
one,
town?
Yeah, River Road West.
It's the one that they said they did and they want us to pay for it, or is it the one that they want us to do the?
No, they did the repairs on the sinkhole. It hasn't been repaired.
Okay. So is that the one they want the deadline for November, or is that a different? Okay.
Does anybody know?
Because there was two.
Yeah.
There were 2
There was one that they wanted,
for 2 years ago.
yeah, they one that they fixed and they wanted payment of, and then there was something else where they gave us a deadline of November. to
I
give
didn't
them
know
a-
it was 2 different things.
Yeah.
One was from 2 years.
Yeah.
Might be.
I looked for it and I could not find it before I come, but I do remember reading 2 different distinct issues.
Well, this one I'm referring to is the one that we have to respond to in about a month.
Okay, so that's a different one. Okay.
That's the 4 storm drains that Manchester's put in that are totally not to any kind of standards. And I'll just let you tell these guys that weren't there.
If you can step up, Nate, so that Kenny can hear you, please. Thank you.
Them catch basins down there were put in by Manchester Lumber years ago. They're cinder block with fire rings put on top of them. They're just big holes in the ground. They were never, we never put them in, we never maintain them. We've never done anything. I don't believe the town put the culverts in. It's just something that Manchester put in to help with their watershed issues. And I was, the 25 years I've been here, it's been, you don't go down there. They're not ours. We don't sweep the road. We don't do nothing down there.
So who owns that land?
Manchester Lumber.
Then shouldn't they?
That's my thoughts.
Does that issue that they're having there interfere with any of our storm drains or anything, or is it just a standalone mess?
Yes, it's a standalone mess that goes from one side of the road across to the road.
So why would they want us to fix that? I mean, what's the advantage of it getting fixed?
It's this old law they've dug up, but it's going to be up to the lawyers, I think, to interpret that and figure it out.
But it's something that we didn't approve, we didn't put in.
Exactly. And the law does not necessarily, it applies to whether it's private property or village-owned property. There's no dispute that it is in the village boundaries.
Yeah, so it's Sterling Market and them aren't ours.
So let me ask you, if it's in the village boundaries and it's not interfering with any of our storm drains or anything, what does the select board care?
I don't know. This is the first I really heard about it.
Aren't they concerned that it might fail if there was a bad flood?
The road might fail.
Their road, they're concerned about their road because.
Isn't it, Nate, isn't this where the sinkhole was?
Yes, it was. That one has been repaired. Hugh Albright agreed to fix that one. And he did, with multiple pipes.
So I've got some information that quite a few years ago, the village and town had an agreement in a joint meeting that if the pipe went from DI to DI, the village maintained it. If the pipe went from DI to open ditch, which would be what it is, it went out to the river over there, that the town maintained it. And this was because the village had experience doing the pipe maintenance, but the town had the experience with the ground and ditch maintenance. So also, if this was installed and the town says they didn't know, then they didn't do their job, because that means Manchester's dug across the road. So at some point in time, somebody in this town knew that they were digging across the road. So it comes down to that it is not our infrastructure. It connects to none of our infrastructure. We have never touched it, maintained it, or even looked at it until they asked us to. And then Troy told them that it was not ours.
And so what are you looking at for cost? If so.
$500,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
$500,000 to fix that, whatever.
Them 4 catch basins, yeah. If you got structures, you got to dig across the road.
Okay, it's $500,000 plus the town's cost of filling in the sinkhole.
And it's not connected to none of our stuff, so it doesn't affect nothing else except it's a standalone
Except that it's
issue.
in the village.
Yeah, that's it.
But village.
I don't know for sure on the price, but that's a good round number. Probably going to be close.
Is there other circumstances where private entities like that have done their own catch basins and stuff, and then how have they worked out? Are they put on our shoulders, or?
Well, back in the day, a lot of people just did whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, the town used to do a lot of that too.
And Manchester was, they had the equipment, they just did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And that was probably 25 years ago.
Oh, it was more than that.
Yeah, it was long
I
time.
talked to Bob Sweetser, former foreman for the village and trustee, and he had no recollection of ever working on that. Now we're in the 70s.
When CJ come and talked to us about it, it was close to 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He wanted us to fix their drainage, remember? You were in the meeting.
When he came 6 years ago?
I don't remember. I wasn't on the board then. I
No, I
wasn't
said
living here then.
it was installed 60 years ago.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Ken, like, they had to have got permission from the town to go across the road. There's no signs that the village had anything to do with it from permissions or anything, and we haven't touched it since the day it was put in. I mean, we can give the town permission to come in and fix it if they would like, so it doesn't take out the road, but I don't feel like it's, I definitely think we have to get the lawyers in for that, the wording.
Yeah, we can't give them permission. We don't own the land and they take care of the roads.
Oh, okay.
I
And
mean,
I
the-
have no idea where, Manchester lumber's sewer goes.
well,
Okay.
Ken,
Yes, but
So-
Don't say it.
wouldn't, when it was done, when it was originally done, wouldn't Manchester have come to the village trustees and asked to have?
No, it's a road, that,
Yeah.
so they don't ask us about roads.
One person, so Nate, what,
Henry Manchester probably just put it across.
without asking any permission
Yeah,
of anything?
Right.
it could have been a dirt road back then. I don't know.
Well,
okay, well, all we need for now is enough information to make this vote, which I think we have. And Ken, you're welcome, and probably I hope you will maybe reach out to Brian Moynihan, because it sounds like you and Nate of all the people that are here know the most about it, and he's gonna be, the first thing Brian has to do is gather information. So how does that sound to you, Ken?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
Motion for Ken and Nate to connect with Brian to,
It's more for us to approve for Brian to start working on this.
well, that's what it was gonna
Okay,
be,
okay.
for them to update Brian and stuff, so Brian can start working going forward with this issue to figure out responsibilities.
Is there a second? Do you have that wording, Donna?
I think I did.
Okay. Could you read it back to us?
I guess, I have to figure out the exact order I'm gonna do it, but, I guess the motion is to have Ken and Nate update Brian Moynihan on his issues from the start looking for the issue or figuring out responsibilities for this.
Okay, but what I also want in it is that we're approving Brian Moynihan to start
Approving for move forward with it.
to move forward.
second,
That's the more important thing. And
I
you made the motion. Is there a second?
I seconded it, he made the
BJ
motion.
made the motion.
Any more discussion on it? A vote. All those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. We have one more thing,
With Nate,
pardon?
with Nate.
With Nate, that's gonna require an executive session, Nate, if you don't mind staying. So we need a motion to go into executive session for an employee matter.
Find that thing that-
Does one of you?
Not to interrupt you, Steve, but don't we have a wastewater application?
Do not have that application.
Okay. And do we want to review the draft employee harassment policy and the idle policy before we go into executive session?
Yeah, I think we don't.
I don't care.
Oh, I said get it over with so Nate can leave.
Yeah,
and
I
we
was
can deal with all that
trying
stuff.
to get Nate out of here, Ken, and then we would
Okay.
go back to
Yeah.
those others.
Okay, which one is it?
It's for
Recording in progress.
Just gotta read the motion. It's BJ.
It's not a disciplinary. appointment.
Let me do it. Doug.
I thought I saw it here.
Well, on the agenda, it says IAW 1.
No, oh,
Is that, that's not the same thing?
yeah, that is, you're right, you're right. That is what it is.
So 31383.
3-1.
Eric-
Appointment or employment
Eric
or
may pop in.
evaluation. I guess
Rosemary.
that's it.
Eric may pop in. I just let him know we're going into executive session.
All right, so it's this one, yes.
Okay.
But we have to come out of the, we're not gonna make a decision. We just are getting
Discussion.
information, discussion.
Yep.
So that's the one.
Okay. So I make a motion to go into executive session for the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. We will not be making a decision. It's for discussion for 1 VSA section 313A3.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second. Is there any more discussion on that? All in
Did we say who
favor?
we're inviting?
Aye.
So, okay, we're going into executive session. We're inviting Nate Brigham, the crew foreman, electrical department foreman, into executive session. And Rosemary, our village clerk and treasurer. And everyone else is going to have to leave the executive session. Aaron, Calvin, Cynthia, Menard, and Kim.
Out of executive session at 8:15. Okay. Who's the guest next?
We haven't done the harassment thing or the transco thing. I don't even know what the transco thing
And
is.
the anti-idling.
Oh, yeah.
Want to do harassment first?
The idle policy will be easy.
We have.
Where's the idle
that's
policy?
just- We don't have it in the paper.
We've had it. We don't
We've
have
had
it
it. We don't
today,
have it
but we've been given it.
Oh, a couple weeks or
Yeah.
a couple meetings ago. I remember that. Okay.
It's the thing we have to sign.
It's in the packet.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the
Idle
thing we
thing
have
is?
to sign. Is it in this packet?
I didn't
We
see it.
we have to adopt it.
Oh, yes, we do have it. You're right. Just one page. Right after the.
There's one for fleet vehicles. No one has a company car, right?
Yeah, Nate, I think, has Nate been using the company car?
Yes, Nate's been
Yes.
driving a truck home from
Yes.
work.
Okay, so there has to be one for that also. Because one is for fleet and one is for company.
Uh-huh.
That's
Well, a fleet and a company car, are the same.
Correct. His is a fleet vehicle.
When I spoke to him about this, to Nate about this, his response to me was, we're exempt from that. So I'm
I
not
don't think
sure if he is or not, but I think Eric is gonna have to explain it to him and the other, and everyone.
everyone.
If you read the policy, we are virtually exempt because it says in there, if they're working on lines, the engine can be running. If they need it to stay warm, the engine can be
Oh,
running.
yeah,
If they need it to
right.
stay cool, the engine can be running.
Right.
So
if they-
it's
if- Go ahead, sorry.
it's just a formality, basically. And when Troy sent it before and we all kind of replied to it, we just said that the shortest version was basically the same thing. And all it's going to come down to is that if they can shut it off basically and not bother anybody, that's what they should do. And we're about to have an electric one, so it's not going to make a lot of noise.
Well, there's a lot of other trucks though.
Yeah, I think it's for all the trucks,
It's all the trucks.
not
It
just,
is, It is.
So I think that when they come in to talk to somebody at the town clerk's office, you turn off the
Right.
truck.
Right.
They do.
And I think, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's
Kind of
Yep.
normal. It's kind of
You
common
turn it
sense.
off.
Like, it's not really exempt per se, it's just a lot of these
Well,
highlights, they don't have to shut it off, but all the other times they should be shutting it off.
should
If you're at the
shut it off.
shop running in and
There's a
doing
lot of
things-
exceptions.
Exactly, they're exceptions. Exempt is like a blanket comment.
like when they're loading and unloading,
Is this your pen?
you
or is-
turn it off.
I lost mine.
I have another one.
All right, so do we just need a motion for the board to adopt it?
I motion to adopt the Village of Johnson anti-idle policy for fleet vehicles.
Is there a second?
Second.
What was it called? The Village of Johnson?
It's the Village of Johnson anti-idling policy for fleet. So there's a motion by BJ and a second by Diane. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote is unanimous.
So you have to
The,
sign something. Do we all have to sign?
I'll send it. Do they have to sign it?
I think there's
Okay.
5 spaces here, so,
Here, I'll send mine
And we-
down through.
okay.
I'll
And-
come down tomorrow. Rosemary.
Okay,
Okay.
next item on the agenda. Possible water and wastewater applications for AJ
We have
Shiner.
not received all the signed
Okay,
applications yet.
So we'll skip over that. Review draft employment harassment and discrimination policy. We have that in our packet here.
Yep.
Yes.
The Village of Johnson there says draft. And we got these from other places, right? From other,
This, I reread this and it's, did you read the Milton one?
I did not.
I think we shouldn't vote on this until you read the Milton one. The Milton one, I think, is really much more friendly. It really gets into more specific kind of things, and I think it's more readable than this.
Does it, even though it gets into specific, does it also generalize a lot of things too? Because
Yes, it
It's
does.
brief and to the point.
It reads really well. I think this is more legalese. I talked to Jill Muir, who is the HR person at Lamoille County Planning Commission. And she said, I agree with you that the Milton one reads better. If we do adopt Milton's, she said that we should send it to her. She will make sure that it's really legal before we send it to Brian.
Isn't she from Vermont League of Cities and
Oh,
Towns?
sorry, yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, did you
Vermont
get that,
League of
Donna?
Cities and Towns, sorry.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
So
you
maybe next meeting, have that one and this one, that way we can kind of look at them.
Well, we've got this one and we'll have a copy.
Well, you should read it before tomorrow night's meeting, because I think harassment is on the.
It's on the agenda for tomorrow.
Oh,
night.
okay, so I'll read it.
It's,
So
Okay.
Do we have the Milton one?
You
I
sent
gave
this-
everybody.
Yeah,
I
she
gave
sent it to
You
us.
sent it to us.
Yeah,
Okay.
email.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
read
where'd
it.
this come from?
I don't know. It reads very similarly to the one that the League of Cities and Towns.
it's a little
has.
shorter even,
So I think I might have the.
but
League
it
of
doesn't specifically call out verbal harassment. It just kind of generalizes. It's a little different.
You should send a copy of the Milton one to Beth.
Okay. I did. I sent it I
Sent
sent,
to everybody?
I sent the Mendon one, I sent the Milton one to everybody.
That must have been what?
And there was
Not
one
a-
from
must have been
It
a couple of
was at
meetings
least-
ago.
Couple,
At
yeah.
least a couple months,
Yeah.
3, maybe 4 months ago.
And you feel Milton was the best one, out of everything.
I thought it was really very
And didn't you
clear.
like that one too, Ken, the best, the Milton one?
It doesn't really matter as long as it covers the problem issues we've been having. So you guys, I'm fine with anything that's gonna cover our butts in this situation.
Well, read the Milton one, Ken, because we are.
If,
gonna
if
talk
you
about
send it,
now.
anytime anybody sends anything, I went over it. I just, whether or not I quite remember it, I will look back at it, but.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the one that's been doing most of this, so I go off what you're saying with that, so.
Yeah. And if you want, I will send you the League of Cities and Town one. Yeah. And I don't know where this one came from. Is it from Eric?
Yes.
My assumption.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
yeah. So we just have to review it. We don't have to take any action on this, I don't believe.
Nope.
It's just a
No,
draft.
because-
So we've done, that's number 8. We've done number 9. We're up to 10. Appoint village negotiating team for upcoming IBEW, that's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers contract talks.
So I'd like to nominate BJ as one of them, since how he's done union negotiations before.
Yeah, I'd like to be a part of that, definitely.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, any more discussion?
Are we just doing one?
We'll do one at a time.
Okay.
No more discussion, vote on BJ being one of our reps. All in
Aye.
favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
BJ, you're one of our reps. So they said we should have 2.
Yep.
I nominate.
2 from the
Steve.
trustee board, or Eric can be one?
2
Oh,
plus Eric. 2 from the trustee board and Eric
I
was what
nominate-
Tim LeBombard wanted.
I nominate Steve.
Chair.
for the
I second it.
Steve, do you want to do it?
Yes, I will do it.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on me?
Nope.
Is there a vote? Let's vote.
Aye.
Hang on. I got one quick discussion. Sorry. Guys, save us some money.
I agree.
Good luck with that. Yeah, they can do it.
Sorry, Steve, I was just throwing.
Yeah, do we get their CBA? Do we have a copy of their CBA?
I can send you the current one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've got to vote.
we do know that we're probably gonna be looking at a big raise, and I don't know if this. So, okay, so we voted, so do you wanna bring this thing up now, Diane? Because it's kind of appropriate to it.
Well, we didn't vote on you yet. We need to vote.
Yeah, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
I,
I'll abstain. All those opposed? All right, I guess I'm it along with BJ. Do you want to bring up your one thing about this, or is it premature? Maybe you can just bring it up, or,
it will take but a minute.
Okay.
It's the same thing that I did last year for the winter placemaking. I am going to hopefully apply for a grant to do more stuff for during the time that the ice skating rink is getting used. And I need to put a municipality as the entity that's applying for the grant. I'd like to put the Village of Johnson. And then tomorrow night, I am going to ask the select board if we can actually do what I would like to do on Legion Field, which is to level the playing field for the rink, ask for a sound system by aligning for the ice rink, and one more thing, it's not coming out.
The lighting's okay, right?
The lighting is okay. I wrote it down,
Lighting,
but it's,
sound.
Fire
The
pits are
lighting.
there. Chairs, the benches are there. It amazes me how much that ice rink is used. I live right there.
Really?
They are on that rink until 10:30 at night
Yeah.
skating. Adults, kids, it's amazing to me how many people use that rink.
Diane, is this 100% grant again?
is it 100%?
Grant, is it a
Yes,
matching? one?
no matching or anything.
Have
And,
at it. You did good last time, so go ahead.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
That's great.
You got my approval.
Yeah,
Thank
when
you.
I think of the third or fourth thing, I'll
Okay.
mention it tomorrow.
I'd like to add one thing though, real quick about the ice rink. Remember the watering issue we had last year? Did we get that resolved 100%?
I don't think so.
We did not.
I think
So
that,
let's just get that on Eric's radar, I guess, maybe, so that we can make sure that if that guy did it last time, if we need to train him some more or something to cover our butts,
yeah.
we should probably do that just to make sure that, the ice rink goes 100%.
Yes.
Because we were a little back and forth with that. 'cause
Wasn't it Brian Rolanitis
Yes.
that did it?
Yeah, we were a little back and forth on that because ended up, he either got trained or he had to have a fireman with him when he used it.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
let them
And he ended up
come
using
in.
his own hoses.
Yeah,
So we'll
Right.
make
We just-
sure he knows
but he has
all
to get
about it.
that training. He has to get.
Yeah, we just don't want to end up with a big ice problem like we had last
That's
time.
right.
Mhm.
Yep. I'll make sure. Thank you.
Is there any more business to bring before the board tonight?
Yeah, we need to do number,
Yeah, the trucks for the Transco.
yeah, number 3. Vermont
Number
Transco
3.
stock.
Okay.
Someone needs to explain.
If we have 103 Class A units and 131 Class B units at $10 each for a grand total of $2,340.
What's a unit? What do you call, I don't know. What is this?
Now, didn't we double that last year?
This is all they're asking for this year.
Okay, but we had the option to buy in more stocks last year or something, didn't we? I'm just refreshing
Yes,
my memory.
if there's utilities that do not buy in, we can get some more shares.
So they'll come back to us with that again.
Yes, if there's any left over.
That's how we did it before. I just remembered that we basically,
Yeah.
yeah, I just remembered that we basically doubled it. I didn't remember it if it was at this time or down the road, we did the double or whatever. I think we bought 5,000 worth last year.
How much did they raise over the 1 year? What did we get back? I mean, what did it advance?
It's all depends. You mean interest rates, you mean?
Yeah, like last year, like right now you're saying they're $10. Last year, what we?
They're
buy
always
on that?
$10 a unit.
Okay.
So this is the one where Ken Nolan said, if we couldn't afford to buy it, Vespa would buy it, and then when we paid them back, they would give them.
This is only $2,000. There's some years it's
So
much
there's
more
no
than that.
problem with us affording this, even with all the other things that are going on.
Yep.
Because we may have some legal bills now coming up with this whole River Road thing.
Yeah, that'll be general department, not electric department.
Oh, okay.
Because this was standard, right, Rosemary?
This
The
is standard. Every
amount.
year, most years they have some stock offerings.
And I'm correct in that Meredith come back to us last year and we doubled that, correct?
Yes, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's the one I was talking about. I didn't know if there was, why we doubled it, but I remembered she said it was a good idea. So I didn't know if.
But it is high risk though, right? Or not? No?
No.
Okay. And where did I read? that it was?
I don't know.
Right.
Is there any more discussion on this? Do you want to take a minute and try to find that, Diane? Or do you want to go?
I think the high risk was the other ones that the other guy was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine.
Are we ready to vote? We vote on this, right?
Mhm.
All those in favor of us buying these?
Bye.
Aye.
Oh, we didn't get them. No, sorry.
A motion to buy the stocks.
Time to go home.
Is there a second to that motion? BJ's motion.
Seconded.
Lynda seconds it. Is there any more discussion? Now we can vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ken?
Aye.
It's
Aye.
unanimous.
I do have one more thing.
Okay.
It's super quick. And the select board will have to also do this. It's the window at the food shelf. There's a whole window that's missing a pane. And I don't know, there's a stop sign that's screwed into it. So probably the rain doesn't go in, but it doesn't prevent the heat from going out.
Oh, my God. And I saw how much oil we use on that building.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
Well, how difficult can it be to replace that pane of glass?
I don't think maybe very much, but can I find out how much it will cost and
Absolutely.
we'll
Yeah.
do it? Okay,
I think those windows there should have that shrink plastic stuff on for the winter.
probably.
I mean, that doesn't.
Maybe we can get that weatherization grant.
Yeah, why don't we have Efficiency Vermont come do it and save, let the state pay for something?
Oh. It would need more than what they'll be willing to give.
It'd be more than
Okay.
130,000 we give them every year.
Yeah, I mean, and we all do, right, in our bills. So I will.
I'll try to
find
stop down and when,
and check it out.
yeah, check
Okay.
it out when you're open 9 to noon, right? Okay,
Yes.
on most weekdays.
Like tomorrow is Wednesday, 4 to 6.
Or, okay.
4 to 6.
All right.
Thank you.
A motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nah, let's do it.
Okay, Rosemary, if you can, whenever you get a chance, send me and Steve the CBA.
Huh?
I said, I told Zeb and Nicole.
Thank you.
They will at 9.
Oh, there you
There
go.
we go.
All right, everybody.
Right.